Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to another video here on Cluiche with me, Seamus, Brady, and for this one I'm joined by Matthew Hurley, the Gaelic Statsman. On once again, we are going to run through all of the main talking points, main action from over the weekend in Gaelic games in the club championships around the country. Matthew, few massive stories coming out of this weekend. I mean, some huge shocks. Obviously, we know the first one we're going to get into, but what did you make of the championship? And then in terms of flying the flag for Cork, Castlehaven march on, beating Cratloe, which obviously we'll get to as well. But in general, what did you make of the weekend?
Yeah, interesting enough weekend. Thanks for having me on again, Seamus. Yeah, Scottstown obviously beating KILCOO was a huge result. I'd imagine that was the result you were referring to. Naomh Quinnell obviously getting that late goal against Gaona. What a finish to that game it looked like. The Ulster Championship in particular had some loads of stories this weekend, from Rory Beggan kicking long-range points, from Naomh Quinnell getting that late goal, to dogs on the pitch. It was absolutely incredible from the Ulster Championship this weekend. And then you had Ballinabbey, full of Irish, expected, I suppose. The Con Championship was probably as going to plan. Leinster probably went to plan as well to an extent. The Munster Championship, I think Clonmel beat Newcastle West more than we expected, but maybe the context behind it, Ian Corbett was missing Newcastle West because of a hamstring injury after they won the county title a week beforehand, so that probably affected Newcastle West's performance. And Cratloe take Castlehaven all the way to extra time, which was a huge achievement for them, but obviously Castlehaven through Robbie Minahan getting that goal in extra time to set them on their way to a semi-final against Rathgarmagh. So yeah, a lot of club action to get into, a lot of controversy with you, I'd imagine, during the week. And of course, news today broke about Aaron Kernel retiring from club duty. That was a huge story in general, and what a servant he's been to Crossmaglen Rangers, despite what happened on Saturday night.
Yeah, no, that's it. He's been absolutely outstanding. There's an argument to say he's the greatest club player of all time. I mean, you look at the amount of silverware he has, it's absolutely ridiculous, and we will talk in depth about that when we're talking about the Trillick Crossmaglen game. That's where we're going to start. We're going to start up in Ulster, the Ulster Senior Football Club Championship quarter-finals. Obviously, the first one, Scottstown versus KILCOO. I mean, God, where do you even start with this one? You've got KILCOO, all the controversy that they were involved in this year when it came to the referee situation in the Down Championship. Then they really put Derry Connolly to the sword. But I mean, talking about this result, like when you go back to it, with the final kick of the game, Rory Beggan sends over an outrageous point, and Scottstown knock out KILCOO, who were one of the favourites for the All-Ireland Club Championship. Of course, they won it a couple of years ago, knocked out by Glen last year, tipped by many to retain Ulster, to regain Ulster, and not to be knocked out by Scottstown.
Yeah, what results for Scottstown. And we were saying during the week that on my podcast that KILCOO were probably the main favourites going to this game. But I did question, maybe you or maybe other GA fans, you look at this Scottstown team and you're thinking, why are they underdogs? You have the likes of Conor McCarthy in that team. You have Rory Beggan. You have Jack McCarron coming in this year from another Monaghan club. You have the Hughes brothers. And while I mentioned the Hughes brothers, Rory Beggan would get all the plaudits. But Kieran Hughes yesterday was absolutely incredible. The guy still has it. He still had it for Monaghan this year, the All-Ireland Championship, reaching the All-Ireland semi-final. And now again yesterday, unreal performance. Conor McCarthy, Jack McCarron, as I mentioned, look, Scottstown has a very, very good players. It was all about getting the right performance on the right day. And they definitely got that yesterday. What a performance to beat a KILCOO team. And considering what happened, this might be an unpopular opinion, Seamus. I think a lot of club fans around the country are quite happy to see KILCOO go. And they're happy that Scottstown got that story. But yeah, KILCOO, I think they'll be kicking themselves over the last 2 years since they won the All-Ireland. They've lost to Watergraham's-Lane and they've lost to Scottstown, and not really good enough. I know the Down Championship, fair play to them, they beat Burren, but to lose to Scottstown in the way that they did as well in the last kick of the game, literally, must have been gut-wrenching for them. And yeah, Scottstown, unbelievable achievement for them to reach the semi-final. And who's to say they won't go on and win Ulster now? I know Watergraham's-Lane are there, but Scottstown definitely have the players to compete and definitely to trouble the Ulster Championship. And Park Farrelly, a guy who's very active on Twitter and Facebook, I'm sure a load of people on social media would have seen his comments, his controversial comments and stuff like that, especially about Ulster football. But he said he made a very good point. Scottstown, with the players that they have, should be competing for an All-Ireland. And I think they should as well. When you see them players in that team, Jack McCarron, Conor McCarthy, Rory Beggan, Darren Hughes, Kieran Hughes, that's like a third-year team, like the stars of the Monaghan team. And Monaghan have done well in the All-Ireland over the past few seasons. So what a win for Scottstown. Incredible story. And incredible that one of their stalwarts, Rory Began, gets that last kick of the game to win it. And you couldn't really write it, James.
Yeah, and like, would you say that is a contender emerge now? Like, would you say that now we have to actually look at Scottstown and be like, okay, this actually could win the All-Ireland Club Championship? Like, do you think, personally, I think it's going to be a Scottstown, Waddy Graham's Glen Ulster final. And do you think that if Scottstown beat Glen, that then they have to be right up there to win the All-Ireland, to win the whole thing?
It's a difficult one because I know I mentioned a load of players that they have, like Shane Carey, another one from centre forward. I forgot to mention Ryan O'Toole, who scored that ballsy goal against Tyrone early on the championship. That's another guy to have at your disposal. But yeah, if they beat Glen, maybe they could be contenders. But the thing after that is, Seamus, they go on and play Kilmacud if they beat Waddy Graham's Glen then. And that's another huge test. I would say that side of the draw for the All-Ireland, you have Scottstown, Waddy Graham's Glen, Kilmacud. That is a shark tank of a side of a draw. And like whoever comes out of that will definitely have to fancy their chances for the All-Ireland. Like if Scottstown go ahead and beat Waddy Graham's Glen and Kilmacud, which they are capable of doing when you look at the players that they have, which maybe it's kind of a last hurrah kind of thing with these sorts of players as well, with Darren Hughes, Kieran Hughes, Rory Began. Like they're experienced lads around the block for a long time, and they'd want a club championship, an All-Ireland club championship. That is, I know they've won enough Monaghan championships already, but even to win an Ulster championship, it'd be massive for that group of players already. And for Jack McCarron to win it in his first season for Scottstown as well, incredible stories throughout the pitch. But I think they have very good players, but they're in a shark tank of a side of a draw. Kilmacud and Waddy Graham's Glen, two sides that produced a very, very competitive All-Ireland final last year. And you need to go over them two sides to reach an All-Ireland final, not to win it, to reach an All-Ireland final. Yeah. That's going to be massive as well. And they've already came past KILCOO as well.
Like and they could come up against a Currafin in the final.
It's incredible,
they could come
really.
Up against a team like that.
Yeah.
Like a Currafin who will stick their chest out when they get to the final. Like, it's not going to be easy.
It isn't, no. Not at all. And Scottstown will be wary of that. I think they'll be wary. Like they do have the players, though. They have the temperament, they have the experience, and they have that win under their belt. That win would provide them with so much confidence. Like over the past few years, Scottstown have been probably labelled as the chokers of Ulster club football. And I think a lot of Scottstown fans would agree with that, considering the players that they had their disposal and constantly losing in the quarter-final or preliminary round. But now they've got that win under their belts. And against KILCOO, nonetheless, 2022 All-Ireland champions, let's not forget, to win against those sorts of lads, it's incredible, really, from Scottstown. And I think it's the confidence booster that they really need going into an All-Ireland run, potentially coming up against Waddy Graham's Glen, and maybe even after that, Kilmacud.
Yeah, no, very, very true. Switching, like we've given the credit to Scottstown, which they absolutely deserve, but at the same time, the comment you made earlier about KILCOO being kicking themselves is on the money for me. They were 1-7 to 6 points ahead heading into the final quarter. Paul Devlin had hit the goal from a penalty. Like, they should have wrapped the game up from there, especially considering that, it's tough conditions. Most of the games have been low scoring. If you find yourself 4 points up heading up into the final quarter and you're a team like KILCOO with all that experience, I am surprised that they didn't close it out from there, even though Scottstown have the players that they do.
I am as well, considering, like, as you mentioned there, the weather conditions, the style of Gaelic football at the time, and the side that KILCOO are. They're probably synonymous for dragging down players when they're going through on goal. Like, so many teams that have done that over the last few years have closed out games brilliantly. You look at the prime example actually would be the Dublin Ladies footballers doing everything in their power to avoid defeat in those last few moments. Like KILCOO, I would have ranked among that bracket. But to do that yesterday, I mean, serious questions have to be asked. And I'm hearing news now from Irish News. I think Carol O'Kane wrote the article, Carol Lacey, this might be his last season already. Like, that's incredible in its own right as well. Like, will he leave? If he leaves, is this the end of this KILCOO dynasty? Will Burren fancy their chances in the Down Championship next year? A lot of questions have to be asked about them now. Yeah, it's
I wonder if he's going to Jim McGuinness.
maybe,
There's a
maybe.
potential.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, geez, I especially with the stuff that happened earlier on the year with the referee scandal and stuff like that, and wanting David Goff to be referee for the down final and binning the down referee, you'd have to think if they have that kind of a mentality, you have to go on and at least reach an Ulster final. But they didn't.
Yeah.
So a lot of questions have to be asked about KILCOO and the way they probably managed the game yesterday and probably managed their season overall. They seem to be coming in at the right time, at the right pace after their brilliant win over Derry Conley last weekend. Like they scored, I think it was 1-7 to a point at half time, which was absolutely ridiculous in its own right. But they just froze in that last quarter yesterday. And it's one of them undescribable things. And especially with a side so synonymous with sides that would pull teams down no matter what, pull players down no matter what when they're going through and goal. But you have to give credit to Scottstown as well. They had the temperament to put the ball over the bar. They had the right sense of mind to put over scores. Like in the last quarter, judging by what you said, 176 points, that would mean they scored 6 points in the last quarter. That's as much as they managed in the previous 45 minutes. That's incredible in its own right. You know? That's really takes guts from that Scottstown team, and they definitely deserve their flowers. But KILCOO, a lot of questions has to be asked. And Carl Lacey, will this be his last year?
Yeah, difficult to tell. And then obviously the begging point, absolutely phenomenal to slot that over. I mean, a huge free. The guy has done it for years now. I mean, I remember the breakout one for me when I realised just how good Rory Beggin is at taking frees was against Dublin in the Alliance League. I'm sure you can remember the game in Croke Park. He hit one in particular where I was like, oh my God, what are you even doing? Thinking about shooting, let alone scoring from that range. Talk to me about this free. Wonderful execution.
So many angles, and whatever angle you see in social media gets better each and every time. Like there was a side angle, there was the angle from the TG car camera. I think the best one though was from behind. There was so much pressure on him, and for him to nail that from that sort of a distance in the weather conditions that have been reverberating across the country as well, you have to remember that on the sideline, near the sideline. It's incredible. And I do remember that kick against Dublin in the Alliance. I remember it was treacherous conditions that night as well. And he was against the wind. How on earth did he get it over from that against the wind in treacherous conditions in a size of a pitch like Croke Park? I'd never know. And to this day, I'd probably never know. And probably in the future, I'll never know. He's just that kind of a player. He's a clutch player. When they need him, he steps up. What a player he is. And that kick might be probably the big thing in this Scottstown team for getting over the line in big games. They haven't done so in Ulster Championship over the last few seasons, and that kick might have changed the persona of the Scottstown team of the past few seasons. So what a kick in so many angles, so many facets of the game, and what a legend to do it. Like he's been around the block, as I said, for so many years now, and to do it in that stage of the game when margins are so tight, it's incredible. And what a kick for Rory Beggin, and what a player.
Yeah, no, I couldn't have put it better myself. And massive congratulations to Scottstown there into the Ulster Club Football Championship semi-final, where they will face Tyrone champions Trillick. Trillick dumping out Crossmaglen Rangers 9 points to 4. And at half-time, Crossmaglen were 4 points to 2 up. But in the second half, Crossmaglen Rangers failed to score. With a forward line with the O'Neill brothers, Jamie Clark, Keane McConville, they failed to score. And Trillick, meanwhile, hit 7 points unanswered. Lee Brennan, Kieran Daly, Richie Donnelly with the most eye-catching of the scores. And they are into the semi-final, and Crossmaglen are out.
Yeah, unbelievable, really. But it's a shame, actually, that I would have expected Crossmaglen to win this game. And Trillick, the shock of the Trillick win would have probably been the main story ordinarily. But the main story is actually a feel-good story, actually, the dog on the pitch. Like, I mean...
The highlight of the first half.
You rarely see it, to be honest with you. And Aaron Cornan, nonetheless, actually, we'll talk about Aaron Cornan in a minute, but he came up to the dog and he just stopped. Like, the dog was on the pitch. And wasn't it brilliant? Like, the dog was so smart, Seamus. Like, literally, he wasn't told or anything. He just walks off the pitch or prowls off the pitch. Brilliant. Brilliant to see. And you love dogs on the pitch in a GA game. Like, we have to doom and gloom with Gaelic football, and then you see that it looked like a sheepdog on the turf, and fair play to Tyrone GA for allowing him on the pitch. It was a nice dog, and hopefully his owner, he'll go to his owner sooner rather than later. But in all seriousness, brilliant result for Trillick to win this game. But let's be honest, Seamus, the dog was probably the most entertaining part. It wasn't a good game.
That's the biggest thing, is that the dog did liven up the game. There's a reason everybody's eyes went to the dog so quickly.
Exactly, the style of football, and we'll probably go on to this as further along the chat we go previewing all the games. Football has got so dire now, and we've said it this off air, we've said it in the past few weeks. It's just tough to watch, really. And Crossbeg 4 points in the first half, no score in the second half whatsoever. With that forward line, Keane McConville, Rian O'Neill, Jamie Clark, how could you score no points in the second half? I don't care if you're against the wind or whatever, but
with everything on the line as well.
Yeah. How on earth have you scored nothing in the second half? And what I would say, among the dog chaos and among the crap football and stuff like that, it was a brilliant point from Lee Brennan in the second half, I have to say. That dummy, incredible score, and probably one of the points of the year. I probably will go on to later on down the year, probably when we're celebrating New Year's. It was an incredible score. Really was. And it was similar to Rory Canavan's score for Ergal Kieran. I'm not sure do you remember that against Watergrim last year.
That got clipped up by ESPN.
Exactly, yeah.
ESPN clipped that one up.
Yeah,
I remember seeing that and being like, what is this?
ESPN need to clip this up as well. It's sooner rather than later. It was an incredible score. Really was really a good score from Lee Brennan. And what I will say about Trillick is, again, like, it's incredible that they are on this run to an Ulster semi-final without Matty Donnelly in the team.
Yeah,
like,
that's the mad thing.
Really
it's the same thing as Nafina without Donald Burke. All of a sudden they put it together without their best player.
I don't know how they do it, actually. It's incredible, really. It's, these players, I think they go around as a team. They just put their bodies on the line and they get the result in the end. But yeah, I would have fully expected Crossbeg to win this game. But Trillick, fair play to them. They came out with the win. And that's the first Tyrone team to win an Ulster Club game, I think, since 2016, if my stats are correct there. So incredible achievement for Trillick. And they've done their county proud.
That's a crazy stat. Like, to think of who's come out, that you have Trillick came out, you had Ergal Kieran come out, and that they all failed to get a victory. It's crazy that it took them so long. But yeah, now, and obviously they're heading in against Scottstown. We were just discussing that against Scottstown. Like, what do you think Trillick should be thinking going into this game? And then on top of that, like, the defence definitely was their calling card in the second half. To hold Crossmaglen to no score in the second half was a vital component in the victory. Was there anything that you noticed that they changed in the second half? Like, did Jody Gormley, who's the Trillick manager, did they do anything different, or did Crossmaglen kind of just shoot themselves in the foot?
I think maybe it was a bit of both. I think Trillick were very smart in their playing defensively in the second half, more so in the first half, to be honest with you. They strangled the life out of Jamie Clark and Rian O'Neill, and that probably boiled over to Jamie Clark as well. The red card was stupid at the end of it. Mm-hmm. I don't know what he was thinking when they were, so far behind in the game. It was just frustration. I think he probably knew in his head that they lost the game at that point, and he throws a punch. And Jamie Clark, he ended the season probably in disgrace after that. But after a poor enough second half display, but Crossmaglen, I would say no score in the second half with that forward line at your disposal. I mean, very, very poor. Actually, Trillick, I know they conceded no score, but to score 7 points in them conditions in the second half, you have to take your hat off to them for that. In fairness to them, that was actually a higher tally than both sides combined in the whole of the first half, 7 points to 6. So, fair play to Trillick for doing that. Their attack improved, their defence improved. Lee Brennan started to get on more ball. Ryan Gray, as you mentioned there, incredible performance from him. Brilliant overall display from Trillick. And they'll definitely fancy their chances. Richie Donnelly's another superb player who definitely put in a shift in this game. Like, of course, with James Garrett, Kieran Daly. Like, there are some very good players in that Trillick team, but they definitely put it all together. And that thing with Matty Donnelly, maybe it probably binds the team closer together that they lose a player like that. And it may be, translated onto the pitch, and fair play to Trillick for doing that. But I think Trillick actually more of a team than Crossmaglen did on Saturday night. Crossmaglen probably looked more of a team of individuals, while Trillick were willing to do anything to get over the line for their teammates. So, I think that was the difference for Trillick to get over the line on Saturday.
Yeah, it's a very good point, and I actually do echo that. I think that when the conditions are that bad, and when the ball is so hard to keep a hold of, and it's so hard to kick a ball over the bar from basically outside the 21, I think skill is less of a factor than it is during the summer. I mean, skill is still important, but I think it's more heart, work rate, bodies on the line, and getting that little bit of luck. And I think if you are a unit and you will literally die for the man on your right and left versus a team of individuals, I would back the team that's a better all-round team any day of the week than a team that has 3 or 4 class individuals at any point, at any game, especially in Gaelic football throughout this club championship when the weather is so tough, when the conditions are so tough. It's a difficult one to overcome if you come up against a team of 15, good players, not inter-county standard, but good players that are willing to throw everything on the line to get the victory. And that's why the club championship has been labelled as the toughest for that very reason. And Crossmaglen found that out. They are out of the championship at the Ulster quarter-final stage. Now, both those sides are on the same draw, Scottstown and Trillick. The other side of the draw was starting with Waddy Glen. Last year's finalists, they beat Cargan. So last year's finalists, Glen, they beat Cargan by 11 points to 7. Not exactly the most impressive victory. Emma Bradley and Danny Talon led the way for the scoring for Glen as they got over what, in my opinion, is a potential banana skin here. But straight away, I'm just going to say it, 26 minutes, Tomas McCann gets sent off. Was it a red card?
It's one of them things, isn't it? It's harsh, really. It is really harsh on Tomas McCann, really. And it probably swung the game in more ways than one because Watty Glen actually got the confidence to go on and win the game, and it wasn't a banana skin as such anymore. Cargan made it tough in the first 25 minutes, and then they get a red card like that. I don't think it was a red card. I'd be interested to see other people's opinions on that, but I think it was harsh, really harsh, and it probably sucked the life out of the game, which the game probably didn't need, because Watty Glen were probably the better team on paper, but Cargan needed to stick in the game as long as they could. But to get that red card, it was really, really harsh. And at that point of the game, I was looking at scoreline and Scorpio was 4 points to 3. They were in the game, and then to get a dismissal like that, very, very poor decision for the referee. But Watty Glen, in fairness, they took the initiative. They went on and won the game. But despite the red card, actually, Cargan scored 4 points since that sending off. Fair play to them, They definitely didn't throw in the towel. They definitely gave it a good rattle for a few minutes. But Watty Glen, probably the red card decided a lot of it, but they were just the better team on the day. And Cargan just couldn't live it up to them once the red card happened.
Yeah, and if you're talking Glen, immediately you're talking they want to go and win that All-Ireland. They want to go one further than they did last year. And immediately a lot of people were saying, Kieran McFall back in the team equals they are stronger than they were last year. And definitely on paper they are. But if you're looking at this result, All-Ireland contenders, what are you thinking?
Well, All-Ireland contenders usually do enough to get over the line. And Watty Glen did that yesterday. So, I think they are still All-Ireland contenders. They're second in the bogey's odds, and they are for a reason. They did very well against KILCOO last season. So, I definitely fancy Watty Glen to go on a run in the All-Ireland series. But I will say, I think if they get past Naomh Quinn, which I think they should in the semi-final, Scottstown or Trillick is going to be a ferocious battle, whoever it is. So that'll be the massive test for Watty Glen. And then after that, if they go on and somehow win the Ulster final, they go on and play KILCOO in the semi-final. And that's another huge test. It's the shark tank at the side of the draw. So, there's harder tests to come. But I think in these sorts of games where you're expected to win, it's just all about winning, really. Getting on to the next game, brush that game under the carpet, and move on.
Well, that's it, is that these games are more so just a bit of a litmus test to see how ready you are for difficult challenges ahead. And look, Cargan did not make it easy in any way, shape or form. And I think losing Tomas McCann, who is a finisher, he is a fantastic forward, so experienced, been around the block with Antrim, to lose him of all players was a really tough one to take for Cargan, and the fact that he was gone of all people. But for Glen, it was a job that needed to be done, and they did it. So you can't really argue with that. But now, look, into the next round, absolutely, big congratulations to them. But I do think they will need to up the level to beat the Kilmacud Crokes down the line. And I think they have it in them. But it'll be interesting to see how they get on from this point moving forward. So moving on then to the next game. So we just mentioned about Waddy Graham's Glen. Their next opponent will be the Donegal champions, Naomh Conaill. So this game ended in dramatic fashion. Naomh Conaill 2-8, Gauna 1-10. With the last kick of the game, or the last play of the game, I should say, Kevin McGettigan popped up with the winner for Naomh Conaill with a last-minute goal. Heartbreak for Gauna. They are out of the championship. They seem to be on the cusp of getting a victory for themselves in the Ulster Club finals. Didn't happen.
Didn't know, and Cavan clubs have to wait another while to get a win. And I tipped Gauna during the week. In fairness, you picked Naomh Conaill and you got it at the slimmest of margins, but I will say heartbreak for Gauna. It really was. Seeing that clip at the end of the game, but I think Kieran Thompson really played it well in that last play. He kicked it to the side to his player Rod and hoofed the ball in uncontrollably. He gets the ball back, floats the ball in, and Kevin McGettigan gets on the end of it. It's incredible play from Naomh Conaill at that stage of the game when heads and tiredness seems to be a factor. But they did it, and fair play to them. Gauna, after a brilliant second half performance, I think they were 1-5 to 4 points down at half time, to produce that performance in the second half and come out with nothing. I mean, you have to feel for them, really, Seamus, wouldn't you? Conor Brady from wing back scoring 1-1, incredible showing from him. Incredible heart from Gauna. Probably one of the best Cavan club showings over the last few seasons, and I definitely think Cavan people will be proud of Gauna this weekend, despite the result. But incredible end to the game. But you have to feel heartbroken for Gauna. You really would, to lose it in that fashion at that stage of the game. And Cavan's club weight goes on, but Naomh Conaill, what a win for them. Well played in the last play of the game, and they're into the semi-final now. What a win for them.
No, absolutely fantastic by Naomh Conaill. And like going forward then, obviously, like they've broken a bit of a duck as well. Over the last few seasons, Donegal clubs don't necessarily get on the best when they get out into the Ulster Club Championship, but Naomh Conaill seem to have buckled the trend there. Moving forward, though, against Glen, and like this is just my take on it. Look, massive congratulations to them on getting this victory. But it's one of those things that, like, it's as if they did a maths equation and they got the right answer, but they didn't use the right method. I'm not convinced that if they go out and play the same, that they'll get the same result against Glen. They need to up their level going into this game. Look, it was a last-minute goal, but it was a last-minute style play. Thompson played it really well, but that ball could just as easily have been fisted out, and we could be talking about Gauna here against Waddy Graham's Glen and you saying that you got it right and I got it wrong. But this type of thing that going into this one, Naomh Conaill against Glen, I do think their level needs to improve.
Oh, massively, massively. I don't think any Naomh Conaill fan would be going into that game thinking that they go on and win that game, because Waddy Graham's Glen obviously have better players, they have a better manager, they have better coaching, they have better facilities, they have better coaching, they've just a better team ethic. I don't think Naomh Conaill will go into the game thinking we're going on and win this. We'll be confident going on and winning this. But yeah, that's Matt's analogy. I don't know about that. Like, it was a nip and tuck game between themselves and Gauna. And Gauna are an incredibly tough side. They scored 5 goals in the Cavan final, and to restrict them to only 1 goal in the game definitely deserves plaudits. I will say that from Naomh Conaill. Fair play to them for doing that. So I think, like, if they play their cards right, they could provide another shock. They could beat Waddy Graham's Glen on their day. Like, if Waddy Graham's Glen perform as poorly as they did against Carrigan, for example, there's every chance that they get over the line. But I just feel Waddy Graham's Glen are more experienced in those situations than Naomh Conaill are. But then again, we talked about confidence that Scotstown would have got after 1 win. Naomh Conaill could be feeling the same thing tonight. They could be thinking, we got over this game at the last minute of the game when we've been unlucky over the last few seasons. We got over the line this time, and maybe that will give us confidence to go on and get another win. Because momentum's a huge thing in this club championship, let's not forget. So, like Naomh Conaill, I think they'd be confident with their performances and getting over the line against Gauna. It was an incredibly tough game against Gauna. Nip and tuck, should I say, throughout the game, as I thought it would be before the ball was even thrown in. But I will say they have to come up with a strategic plan to come up against a beast like Waddy Graham's Glen. If they don't, they might be eaten alive.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think they need to up the level. Look, that game was tough. It was always going to be. They got through it. Fair play to them. But Waddy Graham's Glen versus Nave Quinnell. I think they're going to have to up their level to get over the line in that game. I do think they have it in them. And I think in Kieran Thompson, they have a cracking player there that they can kind of build a team around, which they have been doing. So, I mean, all up to them. And I feel like against Glen, look, they have to be in the game at halftime. They can't allow Glen to build up a base of 4 points, 5 points lead, because if they do that, game's over. Glen don't give up leads like that. So they cannot let Glen get 4 or 5 points ahead of them. If they can stop them doing that, which a lot of teams haven't been able to, then they have a chance. That's genuinely how simple I think this game is. But anyway, so we're done with Ulster. We're going to move down south. We're going to go to Munster, the Munster Senior Football Championship quarterfinals. And we'll start with the Tipperary champions who got revenge on the team that knocked them out of the Munster Club Championship last season. So this one is Clonmel Commercials 2-7, Newcastle West 6 points. Revenge for Clonmel Commercials for last year's defeat at a similar stage. A second-minute goal from Sean O'Connor helped them to get off to the perfect start. They got sweet revenge for last year's surprise defeat.
Yeah, and it was a very good win for Clonmel in fairness, but what shocked me really was Newcastle West actually. I think Peter McGarry got a black card on 21 minutes, and Newcastle West actually did score in that time. So, and as a matter of fact, Clonmel scored 1 point through Kevin Fahey, and that was the main thing out of this game. The Newcastle West couldn't take advantage of that, and the goals were massive. Sean O'Connor gave them, as you said there after 2 minutes, gave them a stranglehold in the game to get over the line, but Newcastle West, I know Ian Corbett was missing through a hamstring injury. Keane Sheehan did not play in this game. I know he was in the crowd in the Limerick final, but he didn't play because of his travels. He might have just got back to Australia, but I don't know. But incredible, really, from Newcastle West to perform the way they did up until a certain point without those two influential players. Because to take in two players out of the team, it's a hard thing to take for that sort of a team. And as well as that, they came up against a very tough test in the Dare last week, and to have a 7-day turnaround after club celebrations, anything like that, it would have been tough for them. And to make it a contest the way they did, credit has to go to them. But the main score in the game, I thought, was Peter McGarry's goal. If you didn't watch it on the stream sport, you definitely should. It was taken just inside the 45-metre line. He takes on, I think, 3 or 4 Newcastle West players and places it beyond the Newcastle West goalkeeper. It was an incredible goal. And by then, it was game, set, and match. I think it was 2-5 to 5 points at that point, and they just couldn't come back into the game after that. But Clonmel, they're a serious team. They are. When you look at the players that they have, Sean O'Connor, Michael Quinlivan, Pádraig Loram, the Kennedy brothers, obviously Seamus, incredible leader to have in that team. Obviously, experience from Tipperary hurling. You look at Conal Kennedy, Coleman Kennedy, Michael O'Reilly. Those are sorts of inter-county players that you need in the team. Peter McGarry is another good player as well. Ross Peters is another good club player. Kevin Fahey's another one, wing back. So they have very, very good players all over the pitch, and they definitely will challenge Dingle in the next game. And worth noting as well, that Dingle game is on in Simple Stadium. So Clonmel will definitely fancy their chances in causing a surprise there against a decent enough Dingle team with the likes of the Gainey brothers. So, yeah, Clonmel, they march on now, but Newcastle West, I think, should feel very proud of their efforts. And maybe if the Limerick final was scheduled at a different time, or maybe if this game was scheduled at a different time than what it was, then maybe it could have been a different story.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, because to have a victory and to have the celebrations in the club and everything like that, it is a difficult thing to have a 7-day turnaround and get your head back in the game and get focused again against the Clonmel side, who have had time to be focused and to be ready for this game. So I think there is a sweet spot there when it comes to, the timings for these games. But anyway, so they got this victory. Newcastle West, obviously, without Ian Corbett, without, Cian Sheehan, they are, in my opinion, their 2 best players, to be honest. So it is a harsh one for them to be without those 2. Clonmel Commercials, on the other hand, I do agree. And look, coming up against Dingle in the semi-final, especially a Dingle side who've had their confidence absolutely rattled by getting thumped by Mid-Kerry in the Kerry County Championship, that maybe has planted a seed of doubt in their confidence going into this game, whereas Clonmel Commercials are on a high. So it's definitely one to watch out for. And a massive congratulations to Clonmel for getting revenge for last year's defeat against Newcastle West. Now, this is the game which you are keeping an eye on the weekend. Obviously, the team flying the flag for Cork. Castlehaven beat Cratloe by 112 to 11 points after extra time in this game. Obviously, Colm Collins involved in the backroom team there with Cratloe, but it was Castlehaven who got the all-important victory here. The crucial score, obviously the goal, that came from... No, sorry, apologies here. The goal came from Robbie Minahan. Robbie Minahan provided the goal, and obviously key scores as well. Michael Hurley, Mark Collins looked to have hit the winner for Castlehaven in normal time, and the boys hit the equaliser with the outside of the boot shot. In extra time, Castlehaven pushed on and got the victory, and they are moving on to the Munster Club football semi-finals, where they will play Rathcormac.
Yeah, and it probably wasn't the most vintage display from Castlehaven. I was actually at this game, and yeah, it was a frustrating game to watch, really. The first half was very, very poor. 4 points apiece. Castlehaven took a while to get going. Jack Hallan scored 2 points. I think it was Conal O'Hanlon got 2 points in the first half for Cratloe. It was a very good performance from him in particular. And Podge Collins was very quiet in this game. I thought he'd be probably the main player for this Cratloe team, but it didn't probably prove that way. Tommy Rooney was dropped for this game. I'm not sure why from midfield. Conor Ryan came in his place, but Dermot Ryan, the clear hurler, had a very good game as well from midfield. But Cratloe's plan was really to sit back, to try and conserve something, and to try and go out on the break. And I think they executed that plan brilliantly in the first half and the second half in particular. It wasn't great to watch. I'll put it blindly, it wasn't a great game to watch whatsoever. And Castlehaven definitely contributed to that. There's 2 games now in a row where the game was very, very poor. But then again, James McCarthy mentioned the Castlehaven manager on the Echo Live that he doesn't care how they win games. It's the way football's gone nowadays. He basically echoed Paul O'Donovan, the Nemo manager's comments, which I thought was quite bizarre. But look, if Castlehaven believes that is the way to go, that's the way to go, to go on and win games like this. But I think I said it to someone I was at the game with in the crowd, he was beside me. I was saying to him, a goal would be crucial in this game because it would just open up gaps. And Robbie Minahan, in fairness, got that goal in extra time. Well-needed goal. And eventually, Cratloe started to open up. Castlehaven could have got another 2 or 3 goals after that moment, but they sort of fist them over for points. Probably the right move, in fairness to them. Jamie O'Driscoll got 1 and Brian Hurley got another. Brian Hurley was very good yesterday, in fairness. 7 points, 4 from play. I think he hit nearly all of his shots over the bar. He hit 1 in particular near the 45-metre line, which was an incredible score. Mark Collins, obviously experienced. But fair play to Cratloe for staying as long as they did into the game. But Castlehaven march on into a game against Rathcormac. I think they'll probably get over Rathcormac, let's be honest. But the way they're performing at the moment, if they are to face Tom Miller Dingle, then I could probably worry for them once it gets that game.
Yeah, no, but I feel like on top of that, look, the Munster Championship last year is crazy. People taking scalps left, right and centre. I feel like if Castlehaven get to the final, I feel like that's a once-off game. I feel like no matter how bad that they've played, no matter how they've got there, they've got there. And I do back them to beat Rathcormac in that semi-final, which then tees them up for a final against either Clonmel or Dingle. And I think they'll fancy their chances going into that. And I think maybe, just maybe, they might win the Munster Championship. And then they'd be into the semi-final against, the winner from Connacht. So they're avoiding Glen, Kilmacud, Crokes, Scottstown. Like, there's a potential path there for Castlehaven to go quite far. But knowing that a lot of teams on that side of the draw will have perked up the minute that they've seen, of course, that there's the big fish that aren't there, that were there in years gone by. Now, we'll move from Munster over to Connacht. So obviously the Connacht Senior Football Championship quarterfinals happened over the weekend as well. And this one was an absolutely dominant display. St. Bridget's really put Coolera Strandhill away in this one. 13 points to a goal and 3. A dominant first half set up a comfortable victory for St. Bridget's. They led 9 points to 0 at halftime. The only real concern coming out of this game for St. Bridget's is the injury to Brian Stack. That's ahead of the game against Mohill, the Leitrim champions. But this game was over at halftime.
It was, and the first score for Coolera actually came in the 39th minute from what I was hearing as well. And, in a Connacht Championship, that's really not good enough. And fair play to them for winning this Sligo Championship. Fair play to Niall Murphy and the lads to go on and win it. But no, just not good enough, really. But Bridges, you have to take their hat off to them. Incredible win for them. But Brian Stack, if that is correct, that is a huge loss. If he is, and that game's next weekend against Bowl as well. So, like, if they were to lose him for that game, geez, that's an incredible loss. But I will say Ben O'Carroll,
He would have
exceptional
picked up
performance.
Keith Byrne. He would have picked up Keith Byrne, no doubt about it.
He would have, yeah. Definitely. And that's a huge loss for that particular reason in general. But Ben O'Carroll, exceptional performance from him in particular, 6 points on the day. Kieran Sugu, Conor Hand had another good display as well. Shane Conan in midfield. Like, their midfield is Eddie Nolan and Shane Conan, two Roscommon seniors. So they definitely fancy their chances of going on a run. And as you mentioned there with Castlehaven, they're on the side where there's probably no such sharks as the other side of the draw. So I think they'll definitely fancy their chances of going on a run, especially with the historic relevance that they have. They've won the All-Ireland in 2013. So that was an incredible display in its own right. They beat, I think, Ballymun Kickhams in the final in that season in particular. So they do have the pedigree, they do have the players, and especially if they get Brian Stack back sooner rather than later, then I think they definitely have a chance of upsetting a few teams in Connacht, especially Corfin maybe in the final if it comes to that. So exceptional display from St. Bridget's, but Kildare, Strandhill, I was hearing some things that was harshly branded about them that they wouldn't survive to the intermediate Connacht Championship, which I think is a bit far. But it wasn't a good day out for them at all in this game. And deserving winners, St. Bridget's.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. Look, a successful year for Kildare, obviously, the Sligo champions, but the way they went out, they won't be happy with that. Like, look, with forwards like Niall Murphy in the team, they will be disappointed they didn't give a better account of themselves, particularly in that first half. Next up, of course, for St. Bridget's is Mohill, as we said. Keith Byrne in the side, Eamon O'Hara at the helm. It won't be an easy game for St. Bridget's in that one, but I do tip them to get past it, and then they will go into the final where they will play either Currafin or Ballina Stephenites. And speaking of Ballina Stephenites, they got their quarter-final victory, as many people expected that they would. Ballina Stephenites, 3-11, Fulham Irish, 5 points. So Pádraig O'Hara and Evan Regan were both absent for Ballina in this game. The goals came from Mikey Murray, Niall Feeney in the first half, leaving them 2-6 to 2 points ahead at the interval. And the third and final goal came in the second half from Conor McStay. Frank Irwin hit 4 points. Kieran Tracy hit 2. This should have been a straightforward victory for Ballina, and it was.
It was, yeah. But I was hearing some commentary from Mayo fans that if they put up that performance against Corfin next week, they'll get slaughtered. So it's a hard one to judge, really. Full of Irish, fair play to them for getting this far. They actually took a flight to the game on the day of the game, which I think was a bit questionable. I know there's jobs during the week and stuff like that, but I think it's not great. It's not great preparation, really, is it? To travel to a game on the day and then you get to Knock Airport at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. and the game is on at 6 o'clock. That's hardly enough time to prepare, really, is it? So, yeah, it was a poor plan there from Fulham Irish, and it probably just showed on the field jet lag. Ballina, except win, really, 15 points, but tougher tests still to come. Conor McStay. But there are tougher tests to come. Speaking of them, Corfin next Saturday night. That game's on RT2 at 2 o'clock. If anybody wants to watch it, I doubt they will after Ballina's showing it bravely. But there you go. There's the option anyway. But a very good showing in this game. But the main line in this, tough test to come.
That's it. Yeah, no, look, this was the game that they should have won, and they did. They should have won this, and they did. So they can't really argue with that. Currafin next is going to be a huge, huge test for Ballina, no doubt about it. I will be watching that game. I don't think Ballina will be as defensive. Currafin play lovely football as well. I think it should be a good game, but we'll see how it goes. Now we'll switch from football to hurling. Leinster Senior Hurling Championship quarterfinals. So these all happened over the weekend, and the one that we were tipping to be a potential shock didn't turn out to be so. I just about went towards O'Loughlin Gaels. They ended up winning by 216 to 13 points in this game against Mount Leinster Rangers. A strong start and a strong finish helped them get over the line in what was a dangerous tie. Owen Wall struck an early goal for them, while Luke Hogan's second goal in the 56th minute sealed the victory. You have to give a shout out to the likes of Chris Nolan. He hit 9 points for Mount Leinster Rangers, but O'Loughlin Gaels were too strong in this one.
They were, yeah, and that will give them a load of confidence going into this Leinster campaign, because they haven't experienced the Leinster campaign like this over the last few seasons. And for Mark Borger to score so much in this game in the Leinster Championship, Owen Wall to get that goal like he's been doing in the Kilkenny Championship, and will give them confidence. Jack Nolan, incredible performance from him as well. And those players at the back, like Mikey Butler, Hugh Lawler, Paddy Deegan, if you have them players at the back line, you definitely have a chance of overcoming any side. But Mount Leinster Rangers, they probably didn't put up more of a test than we probably would have expected. I don't know, is that fair commentary on them? But in fairness to Chris Nolan, very good performance from him, scoring 9 points. John Nolan as well. But they only 3 different scores. And ultimately, in the Leinster Championship game against the Kilkenny champions, unfortunately for them, it's just not good enough to get over the line. And O'Loughlin Gales, they will go on to the next round of the Leinster Championship. They'll face Kilcormac Callaghy. So that is going to be a colossal tie. Especially, we'll get on to Kilcormac Callaghy in a sec. But their showing against Naomh was superb. So if O'Loughlin Gales were to overcome them, that'd be incredible. And it will be interesting actually to see which one of the 3 Kilkenny backs will go on out of the screening in that particular game.
Oh yeah, no, I can't wait to see that, because you're thinking about that and you're like Screeney is definitely a star for the future, if not a star already right now. His display against Naomh was outstanding. That will be a real introduction for him to senior intercounty hurling. I personally think it has Mikey Butler written all over it. Mikey Butler will pick up Adam Screeney, in my opinion. But like on this game, Mount Leinster Rangers, I didn't feel like they hit the level that they could in this game. Like what didn't happen for them in this game?
Well, I suppose it's just about getting over the line again, because it's their first Leinster campaign in so many years now. Like Ballyhale have obviously ruled Kilkenny, so like you would have. This was tipped as a banana skin for them in the game against Mount Leinster Rangers. They came out of 1. So they'd be saying to the punters, what more do you want us to do, really?
Oh no, I'm more
that's
so
my point of view, really.
Mount Leinster
I think
Rangers.
they did well.
I more so meant Leinster. I didn't think Mount Leinster put it up as much as I thought they would.
Possibly so, but then again, O'Loughlin Gales got over the line. And most people, some people in the media wouldn't have said that during the week. So, like, I don't think you could expect more from O'Loughlin Gales, considering the base that they come from. Ballyhale have dominated Kilkenny over the last 2 seasons, and for them to come out of this Kilkenny Championship into the Leinster Championship, I think for them to get a win, I think will give them confidence. But I will think, yes, there is tougher tests to come than this. Kilcormac Callaghy will not make it as easy for them as the Mount Leinster Rangers did. As easy, I will say. It wasn't very, very easy, no. But Kilcormac Callaghy will be a massive test for them. If they get over that, I think they're definitely on the road to potentially an All-Ireland final.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. I think, look, for me, it will be in Afina versus O'Loughlin Gales final, but it will be difficult for O'Loughlin Gales to get past Kilcormac Callaghy, and we're going to move on to this game next. So that one was Kilcormac Callaghy 222, Naomh 14 points. And look, at the start of this, the first thing I'm going to say is we both tipped Kilcormac Callaghy, and I was saying I think Kilcormac Callaghy will win because I think the Wexford Championship structure is a joke, and I think that Naomh have been sitting there twiddling thumbs for months while every other club has been staying sharp with championship games. And I said, I think Kilcormac Callaghy will win rather comfortably, but I didn't think they'd win so easy. Like double scores, 14-point victory. If this isn't a sign that Wexford kind of need to change the championship structure, what is?
Exactly. And like Wexford haven't won a Leinster Championship game. I've been going over this. I think it was since 2018. Naomh themselves, I think, were the last Wexford team to win a senior game in Wexford.
Two as well. No offense to them, but against 2.
I think it was against the Laois crowd.
Yeah, so it's not exactly Ballyhale Shamrocks. Like,
no, not at all.
Proof is in the pudding.
The last time they won a Leinster Championship outright was out at the Bala in 2015. That was the last club championship they've won in Leinster, and they've only won 1 All-Ireland in hurling, and that was, I think, I forget the name of the club. They won it in 1989. St. Anne's, I think, is the name of the club. So that will tell you all you need to know. Wexford need to change something in their championship, and me and you said it during the week. And the Wexford Hurling podcast boys, Ben Burney and Gary Doran, were saying the same thing. how could you expect to win a Leinster Championship game, a tough Leinster Championship game against a side like Kilcormac when your championship was over 2 or 3 months ago? How? Simply. Like it's not a fault of Navina. They did their best. Conor McDonald, and Carl Dunbar, and all them, they do their best, in fairness to them. But I just think they were trying to finding challenge games in the space of 2 months when all other clubs are involved in their club championships. I mean, it's madness. It really is madness. And Wexford Hurling, if they don't change their county championship, then I think it's going to be a long, long time before Wexford Club does win in the All-Ireland in the next few years. And it's a shame, really, because Wexford Hurling, there are some very good players. There are some very good clubs in Wexford. Navy, there are exciting players in that team. But I tipped them to lose because of the structures of the Wexford Hurling Championship. And it's really a joke in many ways and farcical in many other ways. So, yeah, they need to change that sooner rather than later. But you can't take away from Cormac Callaghan's performance. It is disgraceful what's happening in the Wexford Hurling Championship. But incredible performance from the off-league champions. Adam Screeney, 1-7. Like, this guy is 18 years of age. A lot of people look... There's a lot of pressure on him. A lot of people are naming him the next Gooch. There was a controversial article from Sports Show, I think it was, Michael Verney actually pulled them, saying 2 things. Adam Screeney is the next Gooch, which put an unnecessary pressure on the lad. And calling Cormac Callaghan the special case, which I don't know who came up with that headline. But it was really, really poor from the headlines operator of Sports Joe there. Hopefully they learn from their mistakes there. But brilliant performance from Adam Screeney. And how far is his ceiling now? How high is it? Because this guy was incredible in the Under-20 Championship for Offaly. He's been incredible in the Club Championship in Offaly in the hurling. And to score 1-7 to lead your side to victory, what a player this guy is. And I'm so excited to see him in the next few years play for Offaly in the All-Ireland Hurling Championship. Hopefully Offaly will be back in the Hurling Championship in 2 or 3 years' time, because we love this guy to be struck his stuff in the Liam McCarthy, definitely. Charlie Mitchell, another brilliant player. Gorman got the other goal. Conor Mahon had a very good performance from him as well. Colin Spain in midfield. So Kilcormac Callaghan have a lot of young, exuberant players, especially the 2 lads up front, Charlie Mitchell and Adam Screeney. And I think they definitely put it up to O'Loughlin games. And I'd actually tip them. I know people might call me mad for saying this, but I think Kilcormac Callaghan could beat O'Loughlin games in the semi-final. When you look at the players that they have, the youth exuberance that they have, the player that they have in Adam Screeney, I think Kilcormac Callaghan could shock O'Loughlin against the semi-final. It's just a prediction now, but I think this team could be onto something.
I think you're not 100 miles off with that, because it's like O'Loughlin Gales don't have the same fear factor that Ballyhale do. Like, teams would play Ballyhale in the Leinster Championship, they'd be 10 points up with 10 minutes to go and they'd completely panic and throw the game away. Whereas I don't think O'Loughlin Gales have that same fear factor. So I definitely think it will just be down to the game on the day, and the better team will win. And Kilcormac Callaghan definitely will carry the confidence, and they've got nothing to lose, and that's dangerous to come up against. I think for Adam Screeney, I'm going to be very interested in this next game, because, as I said, I'm convinced that Mikey Butler will pick him up, and I think that will be a really, really interesting kind of way to tell just how ready he is for a senior county championship. Because if he smokes Mikey Butler, well, then we know he's ready. Like, if he smokes Mikey Butler, we know he's ready, because Mikey Butler is as good as it gets. Like, he marked Tony Kelly out of the All-Ireland semi-final last year. So definitely going to be very interested to see how he gets on with this one. But yeah, that will be a mouth-watering Leinster Club semi-final. So moving from that to the other side of the draw, we're going to start with Nafina against Rahani. Nafina got the victory in this one, 124 to 19 points. Brian Ryan's goal for Nafina in the 59th minute was the score that ultimately sealed the victory in what was a dangerous game for Nafina, but they go away to Rahani in Westmeath and get the victory. Colin Curry converted 9 frees. AJ Murphy and Sean Curry both chipped in with 4 points each, and Nafina are into the semi-finals.
Yeah, very good showing. And again, without Donald Burke and team. And fair play to Nafina for keep on doing this without their main man. It's incredible in his own right. And Brian Ryan, a guy from Limerick, he's definitely strutting his stuff. Very good, coup for the Dublin champions. Fair play to them for doing that 1-3 overall in this game. Colin Curry, as you
Transfer
mentioned,
market.
brilliant showing. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Like AJ Murphy had a very good showing as well. Sean Curry, like the two Currys and AJ Murphy up front. Like teams are going to fear that attack, and I think Navina definitely have that talent in their locker. Liam Rush at centre back, Conor McHugh at full back. Like they do have very, very good players. Sean Burke as well at cornerback. So a lot of Dublin experience or Limerick experience over Brian Ryan on their team. So they'll definitely be a fair team. But for Hardy, put it up to them. Up to Killian Doyle got a red card later on in the game. And look, he scored 12 points in the game. What a player he is. We've talked about him so many times in the channel with Westmeath. Very good player. He is. Joey Boyle actually got a point as well. So, and Robbie Greville at centre back. So they have good players themselves, and they definitely be confident in going on further in the Westmeath Championship or even the Leinster Championship again next season with that sort of a display. But Nafina, very good display to get them over the line this game. But Nafina are a good side, and for Hardy to only lose by less than 10 points, I think it definitely shades them in a good light, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. And like when you look at it with Nafina now, like, can they win the Leinster Championship? When you're talking about it, like, I do back them to beat Naas in the semi-final, and we're gonna get onto that Naas Camross game. But I do back them to beat Naas in the semi-final, and then they're into a Leinster final against either Kilcooma Cloughey or O'Loughlin Gales. Like, it seems to open up from that point on.
It does, yeah. And I think it should be Naas in the semi-final, even though it's an away game. I don't think it's stayed beginning with M now because of Newbridge being redeveloped in that sense. So like it's going to be a tough game for them nonetheless against a very good Naas side. But I would expect Nafina to get over the line. But I will say, if they are to go on and win Leinster or potentially go on to run an All-Ireland series, they need Donald Burke back in the team. I know they've done really, really well without him, and fair play to Navina for doing that, but they need that extra bit of quality, and I think Donald Burke definitely offers that. If they can get him back in the team, I think they'd be a tough team to come up against for anybody. O'Loughlin Gaze, Kilcormac Cloughey, or even Schlockneil in that All-Ireland semi-final. Or Rory or Christian Dahl, nonetheless.
But that's it. Like, that's if they get Donald Burke back in time for the semi-final, I think that they could win that semi-final, and then they're into the final. So like it very quickly opens up for them, and how fast it's opened up from finally getting over the line in the Dublin final when they've been caused so much heartache with it, to finally get over the line, and then all of a sudden the dominoes are quickly falling towards a potential All-Ireland club final appearance. The one thing that they have to make sure is that they don't get ahead of themselves. They keep their head down. They stay focused. They get the job done against Naas in the semi-final. Take it one game at a time, one step at a time. Like, that's the way the Pac Elroy's Dublin did it, for example, in the 2011 championship. Was just, they didn't call it a quarter-final. They didn't call it a semi-final. They said, this is game 1. This is game 2. This is game 3. This is game 4. And if we win 6 games in a row, we win the championship. Simple as that. When you break it down to being that simple, it really does look that simple. And maybe Nafina are looking at it that way. And I would advise them to do it. They put it this way to yourselves, lads. You have 4 games to win in a row to win the whole thing. And I feel like if they keep their feet on the ground, I think they're a serious contender. But, as I said, the next team they have to go through is Naas. And we're going to move on to that Naas game right now. So, Naas 217, Camross 117. The Kildare champions Naas beat the Laois champions Camross. Jack Sheridan led the way for Naas with 110, and Brian Byrne hit the other goal. We have to give a shout out to Zane Keenan. He hit 113 for Camross. Outstanding individual effort by him, but it wasn't enough. Camross falls short. Naas are back in the semi-final.
And then again, it's the same story with Camross as Mount Leinster Rangers, 3 different scores, which probably isn't good enough really at this Leinster juncture. But 2 players in particular, I mentioned him in my own podcast during the week to watch out for. Zane Keenan and Tomas Keys actually accounted for 116 of Camross's scores out of 117. So it probably shows the reliance really on them 2 players. Tomas Keys, in fairness, deserves a huge shout out as well with 3 points in play. Zane Keenan, though, definitely deserves his spot in the Laois team, I'd imagine. 113 on the day. Incredible showing from him. But Naas, Jack Sheridan, very good showing. Keane Boron as well, Brian Byrne. They do have very good players. They have Kildare County players, which is it's really, really important to have a county talent at this juncture in the Leinster Championship. So Naas march on, brilliant win for them. But for Camross, look, I think they'll be happy with their season. 3-point loss to Naas is no disgrace. That Naas, excuse the pun there, or excuse the rhyme. But Naas, very good showing in the Leinster Championship last season. Obviously, did very well against Ballyhale. For Camross to lose by 3 points, it's no shame on them really. And they won the League Championship with the likes of Clonbalaculla in it, which is an exceptional achievement in its own right. So I think despite the results, Camross will be proud of their achievements this season.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think overall a good year for Camross. Naas are definitely on the up, so it's no shame to lose to them. And Naas will go in and they'll give it one hell of a rattle against Nafina, and you never know, they could produce an upset there because they did put it up to Ballyhale Shamrocks last year. And I do think that if Nafina don't come correct, that they could be turned over. I would be fairly confident in saying that. Now, moving back away from football, moving away from hurling, back to football. We're moving to the LGFA now. The LGFA Leinster football final. And this one was contested by the defending champions Kilmacud Crokes and Offaly champions Naomh Ciarán. And really the result was never in doubt. Kilmacud Crokes defending their crown, winning 4-18 to a goal and 10. The goals came from Alva Davern, Niamh Cotter, Julia Buckley and Emma Kane. A devastating display. And I mean, Naomh Ciarán right from the start were out of their depth in this one. Kilmacud Crokes were 3-10 to 5 points ahead at halftime.
Exactly. Really, really good display from Kilmacud, and especially the likes of Dunboyne aren't as strong anymore without the likes of the influence of Vicky Wall, I think, is playing professional sport now. So for Kilmacud to go on and win that Leinster Championship 2 times in a row now, it's an exceptional achievement for them. Lauren McGee, another exception. I see the photo of Lauren McGee with Johnny McGee, her father, and the whole family there. Really, really good. And family means more than GA, and that's definitely the echo of that story. Like Kilmacud, very good display from the 4-18 to score in this game. And special mention to actually Michelle Davern, 5 points from play, which is a very, very good showing in fairness. Eva Rutledge, very good. Niamh Cotter, actually, there is Cork involvement in the Ladies Club Championship because Niamh Cotter is a Cork woman who scored that goal for Kilmacud Crokes. So I definitely have to put that in there. So well done to Niamh. I think Eva Davern, if memory serves me correctly, she's Galway, yeah. So she's a very good player. And I thought it was maybe a namesake or something like that, but she is from Galway. And yeah, I've seen her in the Galway team over the last few years. I've really been impressed with her. And obviously Emma O'Kane and Julia Buckley to get the goals. Very good display for Kilmacud. And they'll definitely take some beating in the All-Ireland series. And just before we leave this game, Kay Kenny, 8 points for Naomh Ciarán. And I remember seeing her in the O'Connor Cup final for DCU against UL earlier in the year. She scored an outrageous point on that day. And I think she's had an exceptional year as well. You know, I know she's more to Camogie now with Offaly, but if she played LGFA for the Offaly county team, they're junior level at the moment. So if they are intermediate or whatever, if they play Kay Kenny, I think they'll take some beating because she is some player and definitely a player to watch over the next few years to come.
Well, that's it, is that you need your best players to have buy-in in order to progress through the levels. But in this game, they were just out of their depth. Kilmacud Crokes just look fantastic this year. Like the way that they won the Dublin final against Nafina, they really showed their ability to battle in that game. They can battle, and then in this game, they've proven that they can absolutely blow you away. And they did in this game, 4-18 to 110. Look, they made it to this stage last year, and they didn't have Lauren McGee. They fell. It was to Donaghmine that they fell to last year. And now they've Lauren McGee. So they're stronger. They're more confident. I think that they're going to take some beating. Another team that will take some beating as well was the team that won the LGFA Munster football final. So this, again, goes to Ballymacarbery, the Waterford Queens. And I mean, literally, when you're talking about dominance doesn't even describe what Ballymacarbery is in Waterford. They've 42 Waterford titles in a row. 42 Waterford titles in a row. Like, why does anyone else even bother playing in that competition anymore? It simply belongs to Ballymacarbery. They beat the Banner Ladies by 213 to 19 to retain the Munster Club Championship. And this game, another impressive performance. What did you make of them here?
Yeah, very good display. A Banner team that beat Moraby in the Munster semi-final. So very, very good display from them to get to the final, to push Ballymacarbery all the way, really. 7-point defeat is probably no disgrace. But very good display from the Waterford champions. And as you said there, 42 titles in a row, 2 titles in a row in Munster. They keep continuing. The next step is the All-Irelands. They probably were disappointed in losing to Kilcare and Clonberne last year, so they'll definitely over for vengeance this year to go on a further run. Breed McMaw, brilliant form from her, scored 7 points. Claire Walsh with the goal as well. With 2 goals in particular, 2 good Ballymacarbery's goals, so very good performance from her. And the thing is, well, their main player over the last few years has been Michelle Ryan. She only came on yesterday, so she's more of a bench player now. She's more of a player around the dressing room. So more players are coming up to the plate. Like you look at Kellyanne Hogan, who's an exceptional player for Waterford. So I think best luck to Ballymacarbery. They're an exceptional club side. They're an exceptional LGFA side. But the Banner, I think they've done well to reach this stage and get to the Munster final after beating a very good Moraby side.
Yeah, they definitely did. And look, players like Niamh O'Dea in particular were just amazing at stages throughout the championship, like particularly Niamh O'Dea. Unbelievable display. And look, they go out with their heads held high, but they were against the better side in this game. And Ballymacarbery will take some stopping as well. And of course, the team that everybody wants to get revenge on is the defending champions, Kilcare and Clonberne. We're moving on to their game next. So, in the LGFA Connacht Senior Club Football Championship final, Kilcare and Clonberne defended their crown. They beat Knockmore comfortably, 2-15-1-7. It's the reigning, defending All-Ireland club champions who looked brilliant, pretty much flawless last year. And again, talking about looking flawless in this game, an absolutely dominant display, like 11-point victory.
Yeah, really, really good. And you can look at the players at their disposal in this. Like you have the Ward sisters and Nicola and Louise. Like Nicola was the player of the match I was hearing in this game. Exceptional player she is, really. The 2 goals came from Hannah Noon and Olivia Divley, and we talked so much about Olivia Divley over the last year or so. What a player she is. Siobhan Divley, her sister as well. Very good from midfield. I'm not sure did Ailish Morrissey play yesterday now, but if she does play, I think she got a serious injury in the O'Connor Cup earlier on in the season. But if she is back for this club campaign, fair play to them for getting her back, because she's an exceptional player as well. So Kilcare and Clonberne then march on to the All-Ireland semi-final, and they'll take some stopping. They're an incredible, incredible club. So that's 6 kind of titles in a row now, and they're going for 3 All-Ireland titles in a row. Really, really good club side.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely fantastic. And do you think anybody can stop them retaining their All-Ireland club title?
I think the closest is Kilmacud, because you look at who's coming out of Munster. Ballymacarbery possibly could do it on a good day, and then you look at Ulster. I think it's some team for Tyrone and Clonairs from Armagh. Clonairs and obviously have good pedigree and all that, but they haven't been in an All-Ireland necessarily in their history, really done a mine, and went out the club championship very early, which was a surprise this season. So I think if there is one team to stop them, it is Kilmacud Crokes, with the likes of Ailbhe, Daffern and Niamh Carter added from other counties. They definitely take some stopping themselves. But other than that, I think Kilcare and Clonberne look a serious threat for the 3 in a row.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, Kilmacud for me, I would have them as the favourites to stop Kilkerran, but I do make Kilcare and Clonberne my favourites. I think Alvadavern, the Galway dynamic there is interesting. It's a bit fun. We could get that on both sides of Kilmacud Crokes. Could get Shane Walsh going up against Currafin, and could get Alvadavern going up against Kilcare and Clonberne. Very interesting to see if that happens. But yeah, I am tipping Kilkerran at this moment in time. But Kilmacud Crokes look damn good in Leinster as well. Anyway, we've managed to get through it all. 1 hour and 8 minutes into this, we've managed to wrap it all up. Thank you very much. If you joined us at any point of the stream, do be sure to put your comments down below of what games you liked, what your thoughts on the weekend. I'll read them all, get back to them all. And until the next one, guys, here on Cluiche, Torah.